guys, today's video is an Ask a Stylist. It's been a long time since I've done a hair video, so we're just gonna go ahead and jump right in. So today I wanted to talk a little bit about toners. I did a video a year or so ago about why did my hair turn gray. This is before the gray hair trend became really popular, and I talked about how sometimes your hair accidentally turns gray when you're at the hairstylist because of the toners they use, and etc, etc. So I'll go ahead and link that video, but I wanted to go more in depth for those of you who actually want to get that gray hair or ash trend, which can be very difficult to achieve. I want to explain to you a little bit what's behind obtaining that and maintaining it so you guys will know if that's the right look for you or not. So before I begin into my favorite toners for ash colored hair, I'm going to back up and do a little bit of color theory. So here's your basic hair colors. So you're going to have black, which is number 1, 6, which is your like light medium brown, and then all the way up to a 10, which is light blonde. And then you all of course have like 11, 12s, which are like considered platinum, really light blonde colors. So by nature, most people have warm tones in their hair. Some people have more than others. That's the reason why if somebody comes in and says, I pull really red, I listen to them because they probably know what they're talking about. So I'm going to use these examples right here, which are actually colors, to explain what underlining pigments are. So basically on every different shade that you have in different hair colors, there's going to be an underlining pigment. The lighter you are, the more yellow and gold the underlining pigments are. The darker you go, the more red and orange your pigments are. So if you have something like this, like a level 8, your hair is going to be a little more orangey gold underneath, versus if you get to a 6, you're going to have a little bit more just straight orange. You know, you guys have seen that orange color when you bleach your hair and it goes wrong. And then the darker you go, the more red you have. Even though some natural hair has that ash look to it, as soon as you put color or lightener on it, those red pigments and those orange gold warm pigments are going to naturally come out. So it seems like, oh, well, I have ash brown hair. If I lighten it, it's going to stay ash. But that's not the case. It's because of those underlying pigments, and that's why you have to fight those pigments. So when people get used to lightening their roots 1 or 2 shades, they usually gravitate towards an ash color because they know that gives them the more neutral desired results they're looking for. Where people get into problems is when they're using that and then they're pulling it back over blonde. Sometimes they get unwanted ash tones, which are green, grayish, violetish, etc, etc. So that's kind of what I go in more in depth in that other video. But today I want to talk about when you intentionally want to have gray tones in your hair and what is involved. So basically, your hair doesn't ever naturally have gray tones unless you get a natural gray. This is a swatch of what a 50% gray, natural gray would look like. And sometimes when people are going gray, they want to have that natural ash back into their hair, and it's also become very trendy for people in their 20s, 30s, and upwards to get that ash colored blonde or to get those gray steel tones. When you want colored hair that's gray, that's not naturally gray, you basically have to have the hair completely blonde, which means there can't be any color in the hair whatsoever. So when you see these girls that have those really beautiful like steel colored hair, they literally have to bleach their hair completely platinum. There is not going to be a shade that is going to lift your natural brown hair and then deposit the color and make it that steel color, because those steel tones in the hair are going to counteract your pigments and leave you with kind of a neutral shade. They're not going to lift your roots out and deposit that cool gray shade you're looking for. So to get that color, you're going to have to completely bleach out your hair and then color it back with the steel kind of color. So once I explain that to most people, they're like, wow, that's really high maintenance. I don't know that I want to do that. But I just think it's important for people to know that you have to lift that color out. Now there's ways to use color lighteners, strippers, you know, there's things that you can do to make your hair more healthy when lightening and all that other kinds of things. But at the end of the day, you're still lightening your hair and you have to remove that pigment before you can put that color on. So if you're wanting to lighten your hair all over and go for a still color, one of the colors I like is the 9T Chrome. This is from Redken Shades EQ. Now this is going to be a demi-permanent, and most any color you're going to find is going to be a demi-permanent, which means it is going to fade and you are going to have a little bit more upkeep when you are dyeing your hair gray. So just something to keep in mind. You might bleach it out and then go a couple times to have the blonde kind of grade, and then, you know, every 3rd or 4th time maybe you should bleach out the roots again, or you could kind of keep the rooted look to your gray hair as well. The next thing people want to do is just give their hair an all over toned look. Sometimes when you're blonde like I am, you may have your natural color, which is natural ashy, and then over time your blonde starts to to yellow a little bit and you want to have that more cool blonde tone, or maybe you want some of those like silvery kind of ashy streaks in your hair, but you don't necessarily want to lighten all of your hair. So that's where a good toner is going to come in. Now for somebody who just wants to have an ash colored blonde, one of my favorite products is the Pravana Chroma Silks. These are awesome because they are express tones. I learned about these through Guy Tang, and these are 5-minute toners, which is amazing. So the two shades that I use the most are Ash and Pearl. So for someone like me, if I was going to use Pearl, what it would basically do is just give it a light casting and just kind of tone down any brassiness and give me an overall ashy look to my hair. Any pieces of my hair that are super light blonde are going to soak up that toner a little bit more and almost have like a tiny bit of a silvery look to it. When you're using this as a toner, if you're just trying to correct unwanted tones, that's something to keep in mind. Maybe leave it off those really white blonde pieces if you don't want them to have a little bit of a silvery tone. But if you don't mind having that in an overall ash look, this is an awesome toner. If you want to take it a step up and you actually want to have like full-on silver looks, or if you have really orange streaks that you're trying to counteract in your hair and using this as a spot toner, I love the Express Tones in Ash. This is a totally silvery looking color, and in 5 minutes it can tone really brassy orangey hair, or like I said, on the hair that has no pigment in it, that's just that nice platinum blonde, it will give it that nice silvery tone. A couple other things that I use if you want just a light toner. This is the Super Sheer Violet. This is from Color Sync. This is the gloss. If you already have platinum hair, but you're just looking to just tone it down a little, because you know platinum gets that kind of yellowy tone to it, this will just give it a nice glaze all over and just tone it down and make it a little bit more neutral. And I also really like the 10V from Color Sync. This is also going to do a very similar thing. This one I usually leave on a little bit longer. This is a 20-minute cream, but with toners, they can take quickly, so it's something that you can kind of put them on, see how they do, and then rinse them off when they're kind of the color that you like. Another thing that I do to tone highlights and give an overall ash color is when I'm applying the color, say I was doing highlights and foils, and then in between the foils I was putting this color on. This is a 6A. I can show you what the swatches of these look like. So here's the 10V right here. It just kind of gives it that nice platinum tone. And then the 6A is just kind of an ashy brown right there. What I like to do is I'll have lightener in my foils. If I have the 6A like in between, I'll go ahead and rinse out the foils with the lightener in them. And then what I'll do is I'll take the 6A and I'll just kind of mush it over my highlights and just kind of pull it through. And what that does is, without adding an extra step of rinsing it out, towel drying it, toning it, you're going to actually use the color that's already on their hair that's a little bit ashy and just kind of glaze the hair and give it the ash colored look. So when I am doing ash colors and I've got blonde hair, I always use a demi because I feel like it grabs the hair nicely and it just tones it really nice. If you're wanting an ash colored look and your hair is dark and you're trying to lighten it, I would either pre-lighten it and then go back with a toner, or make sure you're using something lightening that is made to counteract, which has a very strong ash base. So when you're toning your hair with these Express toners, they do last, I would say, about 2 to 3 weeks before they start to really fade out. And you're going to notice the most depth of color the first week. So they are a little bit more temporary because they are 5 minutes. If you go with something Shades EQ, I've noticed where this is a 20-minute color, you are going to get a little bit longer lasting results. I like these because I can just tone it and kind of give that look of the silver, because it's something I usually like for a couple of weeks, and then as it fades out, I'm okay with it. So it's nice to have some other options to kind of see how much you're willing to commit to it and that kind of thing. I also did a video completely on shiny hair, and in that video I go through step by step on how I actually apply a clear gloss to my hair. So if you guys are interested in the application of that, I will go ahead and link that. I also have a video on showing on how I apply foils, so I will link that as well. That way you guys can see a little bit more in depth. If there's individual questions you have on those things, I would just refer you to those videos. If you're having a hard time with your hair always going brassy, there are solutions, and you don't have to walk around with gold colored hair. And I would just talk to your stylist and see if you can find something that works for you to help you with the beautiful ash. Whether you just like to go natural or you like to go steel gray all the way, that is totally up to you. For those of you guys who are stylists out there, or those of you who are interested in this kind of stuff and are curious, you can ask your stylist about what kind of colors they use, or you can find a salon that uses these Chroma silks. They're really awesome. And hopefully that helps you guys know a little bit more about how to achieve this kind of hair color and what kind of maintenance it takes. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you have any questions for me for Ask a Stylist, please leave them down below and I'd be happy to do another video and answer your guys' questions. I'll see you guys next time. Bye!